Duyagwich Akara, and welcome back to the Morrigan Academy podcast, where we explore the myths, magic and mysteries of Ireland's great battle goddess. I'm Lora O'Brien, a modern Dree, and dedicated priest of the Morrigan for over 2 decades. Through my years of study, practice and teaching, I've guided many on their paths to understanding and honouring this very complex deity. In our previous episodes, we've delved into who the Morrigan is, her multifaceted roles, and the signs she may use to call us. But now, a pressing question arises. How do we honour the Morrigan? This is where many seekers find themselves at a crossroads, unsure of how to proceed. Today, we'll explore practical, respectful ways to honour her, grounded in tradition, here in our Irish tradition, and adaptable to your busy modern life. So understanding honour in the context of the Morrigan is actually important. It's important that we would start there. So before we are diving into specific practices, it really is crucial to grasp what honouring the Morrigan entails. Honour is more than just ritualistic gestures or even empty or grand gestures. It's about embodying her values: sovereignty, courage, transformation, change in our daily lives. So honouring the Morrigan means living with integrity, aligning your actions with values, standing firm in your truth, embracing transformation, so being open to change, growth and the challenges that they bring, and seeking knowledge, continuously learning, especially about her lore and the culture from which she originates. So with this foundation firmly in place, let's explore some practical ways to honour her. The first one is the one that keeps being repeated over and over again, but it is actually really fundamental and really foundational, so I couldn't not talk about it. Creating a sacred space. So first off, designate an area in your home as an altar or shrine to the Morrigan. This space will serve as a focal point for devotion and reflection. And I remember when I first set up my altar, it was very modest, just a simple cloth, a feather that I found during a walk, and a candle. But this very humble space, not Instagram ready at all, became a powerful centre for connection. It really became the hub of my own relationship with the Morrigan, and was placed in such a way that it reminded me daily of her presence and the path that I walk. And honestly, as I'm sitting here in the Irish Pagan School and the Morrigan Academy headquarters, also the Ohm Academy, it does, this office does great work, triples up on its jobs. I'm sitting here looking out the window, and right over my left shoulder, and you'll see it in some of our videos, is the Morrigan altar, and it's just the top of a bookshelf. But I can't come into the office without passing it, and I can't help but be aware of her over my shoulder, literally, as I am doing my work, speaking to all of you, the work that I do here from the office, through our content, through writing my books, through all of that. So, if that's helpful to you in creating your own space, it's not so much about where or what it is, but how it functions for you. So the second practical way we can honour the Morrigan is through meditation and guided journeys. Engaging in meditation, focus, visualization, any of that helps to attune your mind to the Morrigan's presence, and guided journeys particularly can facilitate deeper connections, allowing you to explore her realms and receive insights. And again, it's very vital in the development of an actual relationship, a two-way relationship, because when you go on a guided journey, you can literally speak to the Morrigan. Now, she might not speak back, but that is how that works. So if you want meditation or guided journey support, yes, you can meditate, even for those of us who are neurodivergent, who have never been able to focus, and it's getting worse and worse because of our phone addiction. We used to be able to read books for hours and hours and hours, and now we have to have 3 different tech devices open just to, engage us. All of that can be true, and also the fact that you can still meditate or engage in these guided journey practices is also true. So no excuses, please. And again, for support on this, there are videos on this channel. There's a whole playlist on meditation and guided journeys. There is also a guided meditation membership at the Irish Pagan School. So a small monthly fee gets you access to about 60 guided journeys that you can choose thematically at different levels. And there's also a whole class for Foundation 1 and other options if you want to go further than that. Foundation level and level 1. There are 2 levels available at the Irish Pagan Schools, so I've literally given away free half of my own particular methodology. Anyway, there are supports, is my point, right? But regular meditation is how you would invite her presence, how you begin showing up for her. And with those guided journeys, then visualizations leading you to meet the Morrigan, you can seek her guidance through those as well and develop your relationship. So third up, we would have honouring the land. Morrigan is deeply connected to the land of Ireland. Honouring her really does involve respecting and protecting the natural world around you. She is a sovereignty goddess, and while traditionally she is not part of the land, as you would see in other sovereignty goddesses, she still is a guardian of the land and does in her own way shape the land. Now sometimes it's by turning a thieving woman into a stream, right? But that's still shaping the land, just like the other sovereignty goddesses. Anyway, environmental stewardship is really important. So participate in your local conservation efforts, reduce waste, live sustainably. This is all just common sense where we are now. But also doing things like taking sacred walks, spending time in nature, acknowledging the spirits of the land where you are, leaving offerings where safe and appropriate to do so. All of those are important parts of honouring the land. And then for Ireland specifically, what I would suggest is figuring out sacred sites and how you can support local groups and organisations which help to care for and maintain sacred sites. That's all part of honouring this land as well. Or environmental groups that are working here, or tree planting groups, or any of that. So there is a class at the Irish Pagan School called The Wisdom of Trees, which gives some really good suggestions for connecting with trees, both wherever you are and where I currently am. So you have options, basically. Then we have acts of service and justice. So embodying the Morrigan's values means standing up for justice and sovereignty, both personally and within your community. Now, I get a lot of pushback on this because there's a lot of right-wing men, mostly, who have decided that because the Morrigan is a war goddess, that they can, offer her bullets as offerings, and this is their military booyah goddess. It's not how it works, boys, unfortunately. So her service is service to people, service to community. It's not about killing anyone. It's not about glorifying war. You really need to read the mythology if that is where you think she's coming from. She absolutely is not. But what she does is align with advocacy. So you can support causes that are for fairness, equality, transformation. This is the creating change part of it anyway. And then you have personal sovereignty. So establishing your own healthy boundaries, making empowered decisions, and, encouraging and supporting others to do the same. Those are all really important acts of service and justice. And then learning and sharing knowledge. So deepening your understanding of the Morrigan by studying her lore, her history, and her cultural context. So, so important. And by sharing this knowledge responsibly. So again, on the blog at the Irish Pagan School, I have a blog post that talks about forming an Irish pagan group in your geographical area, because we are obviously based in Ireland. And while I wouldn't recommend setting up in competition to Irish people online, what I would suggest is that you could start a local study group for personal practice. So there is a whole blog post over there which gives you guidance and, goes into the ethics and the responsibilities of setting up a local group. So I do recommend a study group in that line. And then teaching, so sharing insights through writing or workshop or discussions, again, locally to you, but always making sure that you acknowledge sources and cultural origins, that you're not just using it for social credit, because that too is cultural appropriation, even if you're not making money off it, or even if you decide that you want to donate 5% to a tree organisation in Ireland. Like, it's not it, it's not it. Anyway, go to the Irish Pagan School blog and figure out how to set up a local group or a study group and do the work that way, right? So then, if you want to learn more about any of this, really, you can deepen your practice with, I suppose, more structured guidance to begin or enhance your devotional practices. You could consider our workshop here at the Morrigan Academy, which is 5 devotional practices to start your connection with the Morrigan. This on-demand workshop offers practical, meaningful ways to honour the Morrigan in your daily life, even if you're brand new to this path. It really is a very simple workshop. So I'll put a link to this below where you can enrol, but it is morrigan.academy/practices. So very easy to get to, and I highly recommend it for those who are starting or refreshing their spirituality in this way. Then integrating your practices into your daily life is another really important factor in honouring the Morrigan. Morrigan is a goddess of magic and witchcraft, and Irish witchcraft is very much about doing the work. It's not a religion. It's not even a spiritual practice. And, even my own relationship with the Morrigan, she didn't initiate me, she recruited me to do the work. My title of priest of the Morrigan is a job description. It's not an honorific, okay? So that's where we're coming from with all of that. And with regard to practices in your own daily life, just remember that consistency is key. So I want you to start really small, perhaps with like a daily moment or a reflection or a weekly offering. And then when you grow more comfortable with that, you can expand your practices, but always aligning them and, rooting them back in your own personal path and the values of the Morrigan and the source culture from which she comes. So please remember, authenticity over aesthetics. It's not about elaborate rituals, but it is about genuine connection. So, whatever they're telling you on Witch Talk, the aesthetic is not it. What we really want is the authenticity. And that's authenticity to yourself and authenticity to the Irish culture from which she comes, her own lore, her own stories. So, so important. Then we have flexibility. So you can adapt practices to fit your lifestyle and personal beliefs. Nothing that I ever teach is the one true way. That is not what we do at the Irish Pagan School, at the Morrigan Academy, at the Ohm Academy. But it is coming direct from source culture. And as you can see through this podcast, what I am doing is offering you the tools, the resources, the guidance for you to walk your own path. So that's really important too. And then respect. So we are always approaching the Morrigan with reverence. I mean, maybe I don't need to say that. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there that needs the reminder. But reverence for the Morrigan is not about worship, but very much about respect. So respect for her, but also acknowledging the cultural roots and her significance, and again, her own true stories. So we'll finish up there and we'll just say honouring the Morrigan is a journey, one of depth, transformation and empowerment, certainly. And by integrating these practices into your life, by honouring her in your everyday life, you not only pay homage to her, but also literally embody the qualities that she represents, who she is and what she is. So again, for a more structured approach and a deeper exploration, don't forget to check out the workshop, 5 devotional practices to start your connection with the Morrigan. It can be found at morrigan.academy/practices. And until next time, honour the lore, respect the Morrigan, and slán go fóill. I will see you next time.